Ever since the release of Cold War Zombies, the Zombies community has made it very clear that they like the game. They enjoy the gameplay, and overall the general consensus is positive. Everybody has been talking about the new and innovative gameplay mechanics that have been implemented in Cold War Zombies, and they've talked about the progression system and the perks and the rarity system as well. But one topic that people haven't talked about as much, one topic that kind of flew under the radar, is the map itself, Die Maschine. Usually, the Zombies community is very vocal about the maps, but this time, they were so distracted by all the new things the game has to offer that the general consensus towards the map is a bit of a mystery. Do people like it? Do people hate it? It's a little hard to tell, especially since it's the only map in the game so far, so there are no other maps to compare it to yet. Die Maschine as a map has some good things going for it, but it also has some problems. What I think is that Die Maschine is a mediocre map that leans a little bit towards the good side. Now let's get into some details about the map. The first thing that's a little bit problematic is the way the map looks in general, the aesthetics. The map just doesn't look impressive. It's mostly snow, and the underground bunker is another generic gray facility that we've seen 1,000 times that doesn't look too appealing. The addition of all the graffiti on the walls does help, and it brings a little bit more color, a little bit more contrast and saturation, and it also gives it that nice 80s vibe. I'm also not a fan of the occasional fog. I kind of don't understand the point of it. I think at this point the fog has become an item on Treyarch's checklist. They just have to have it on every single map. It's just getting old. I know it's like a running joke in the Zombies community now, but it was funny in 2016. Let it go. Enough with the fog fetish. Just stop it.
Fog rolling in. Shut the fuck up!
So the map doesn't really look that great. But how does it flow? How is the layout? Well, not bad. The map is quite large, but it also has a hint of verticality to it. And it's not a false sense of verticality like we've seen before in Zombies. You can literally jump off of ledges and climb on top of things and sort of parkour your way through certain areas of the map, which, without exaggeration, is my absolute favorite thing about the map. We've always had some level of verticality in Zombies. Most maps had multiple levels and you could go up and down the stairs, and we had something like Die Rise where the verticality is the main gimmick of the map, but I don't think we've ever had this much freedom in terms of vertical movement. I think it's one of the best things about this map, and I hope it's something that Treyarch explores a little bit more in the future maps as well. At the beginning of every game, the map is fairly linear because some of the doors cannot be opened unless you turn on the power. So there's pretty much one way to go in the beginning. And the thing I'm not a fan of is that the map forces you to go to different areas of the map instead of enticing you to do it. For example, after you turn on the power, you have to go back up the stairs into the crash site or the quick revive section to open up Pack-a-Punch. And then you're back in the bunker again, and that's usually when you would do the coffin Easter egg to get Juggernog and a free weapon. And after that, you're free to train pretty much anywhere in the map. And that's one of the good qualities of this map. It's that you have a lot of choices when it comes to where in the map you want to play the game. You can train in the crash site, the spawn room, and the bunker, or you can do what every high rounder does and camp on the roof of Noct. There are a lot of viable strategies to utilize in this map, and even though it makes the map a little too easy, it does make it more fun. You have a lot more variety in terms of how you play this map, and more variety in Zombies never hurts. Speaking of variety, you have basically 5 different variations of a wonder weapon, and they're all very fun to use. And even though some of them are clearly better than others, it's always nice to have multiple choices when it comes to a wonder weapon. Another unique aspect of this map is the addition of the Dark Ether. The idea of it is cool, but it's a little bit underutilized. After you unlock Pack-a-Punch, if you're not going for the wonder weapons or the main Easter egg, you're probably not gonna go into the Dark Ether. I just wish it was a little bit more integrated into the casual gameplay. Speaking of casual gameplay, perhaps one of the best characteristics of this map is that it's a really good first map, and that's something Treyarch has always struggled with. They always try to go too big, and their first maps are usually too ambitious, and that's not a good thing, because for some people this is gonna be their first ever zombies map that they're gonna play, and if it's too difficult it can easily alienate the casual players and the newcomers. And for some reason, Treyarch just couldn't get a first map right for a very long time. The two most notorious examples are Shadows of Evil and, oh dear god, Transit. Just look at Shadows of Evil. Look how much you have to do to unlock Pack-a-Punch. If you're playing zombies for the first time, that map is a literal nightmare. Same goes for Transit, but let's be honest, Transit is a nightmare for most zombies players. I love Shadows of Evil, it's one of my favorite maps, but it's not a good first map. Ironically enough, the other non-Treyarch titles always had very solid first maps. Infinite Warfare Zombies had Zombies in Spaceland, which was a great first map. It was easy, there were a lot of open spaces, and navigating through it wasn't too hard. Another example is the Final Reich in World War II Zombies. It's an easy map, you have some open spaces, the main Easter egg has a casual version, and the map gives you a notebook that basically tells you how to do everything. Those maps are very welcoming to new players. Die Maschine is a really good, solid first map. You have a lot of open areas, it's easy to turn on the power, it's easy to open up Pack-a-Punch, it's easy to get the wonder weapons, and it's easy to do the main Easter egg. Hell, the map even lets you do a side Easter egg to get Juggernaut for free, and that's essentially where this map thrives. It's a really good medium to introduce you to all the new fun gameplay mechanics this game has to offer. It's a good map to play for the first time. It welcomes all the new players with open arms and it encourages them to learn more about the game itself. The music and the atmosphere is a little lackluster. The round change music is good, but the map just feels a little lifeless. It lacks a bit of character, and the fact that the characters you play as don't feel like real human beings doesn't help at all. I guess this is more of a criticism of the game itself rather than the map, but I don't like the idea of replacing a main zombies cast with a bunch of silent, disposable, boring characters from multiplayer and campaign. It just doesn't really work, and I'm not a fan of it at all. You still have other characters that talk in the background like Dr. Gray and Weaver, but because you can't really change anything about them, their dialogue ends up being the same every single game. There are a couple of variations, but it's not enough to alleviate the repetitive nature of it all. I mean, it gets tiring listening to Weaver talking about how he needs to unfuck everything over and over again.
We need to figure out how to unfuck the situation.
And it doesn't help that when you finish the main Easter egg, there is no ending cutscene. I feel like that's more important than people think it is, because you don't get much of a reward from doing the main Easter egg, and an ending cutscene goes a long way in making players feel like they've accomplished something after they've done the main Easter egg. I hope this doesn't become a trend for the rest of the DLC cycle in this game. I hope with our next map, which is called Firebase Z, we get an actual ending cutscene after finishing the main Easter egg. I feel like it adds more meaning and more prestige to the map itself and to the main Easter egg quest, and it serves as an incentive for the more casual players to try and do the main Easter egg and learn more about the map and the main storyline. Because let's be honest, the zombie storyline is not exactly welcoming to the new players. Perfect example is Black Ops 3 Zombies. Even though the main storyline was confusing and it required a PhD in 7 different fields to understand, the cutscenes were so beautifully made and the dialogue between the characters was so good that they really did a lot to garner people's interest in the storyline and the characters. Now, let's talk about the different enemy types in the map. We have the Megaton, the Plague Hounds, and the Armored Zombies. The Megatons behave very similar to the Panzer Soldat. As a matter of fact, they have pretty much the same animations in everything they do. They're very dangerous in short-range encounters, and they're very annoying in long-range encounters. I don't mind how strong they are in short-range, but the long-range attacks are very irritating. They're pretty much impossible to dodge. I don't think it's actually possible to dodge their long-range attacks, but the developers did try to offer you ways to avoid getting hit by them. For example, if you notice, there are a lot of obstacles in the map. There are a lot of objects that you can get behind to avoid getting hit by their projectiles, and these kind of objects are present in pretty much every single area of the map, and that's a good thing. The devs understood that the Megaton can be a little difficult to deal with, and they threw us a bone and gave us a fighting chance. Another example is that if you have the Ring of Fire field upgrade, when you activate it, as long as you stay inside the circle, the projectiles that the Megaton throws at you will never hurt you. And again, that's a good thing. I don't like how bullet spongy they get in some of the later rounds, and for how spongy they are, they spawn in way too frequently. I think either their spawn rate or their health needs to be lowered, because it's not like after you kill the Megaton you're done. No, they split into basically 2 other Megatons and you have to take them out too. Although I don't mind the splitters as much because they have less health, as they should, when you kill them, the rewards you get can sometimes be very underwhelming, and it wouldn't hurt to give us better loot for killing the splitters. Overall, I think the Megatons just need a little bit of fine-tuning, and they could be a good enemy type for the map. Next, we have the Plague Hounds, which are literally the tigers from 9. There's not much different about them. They behave the exact same way, except now they emit this green fart after they die, and it gradually hurts you if you stand in it. They're okay. They're mainly there to divert your attention and do chip damage to your armor and slowly deplete it so that you die from not being able to take as much damage. Sure, they're annoying as well, but they don't have that much health, so they die easily. And their spawn rates are not too crazy, so compared to the Megatons, they're much more manageable. Next, we have the Armored Zombies, which are not much of a new enemy type. They're just zombies that have more health, basically. Kinda like the zombies in Die Rise, but these have much more health, and when you kill them, they sometimes give you armor as well. They start spawning on round 20, and other than the fact that they sometimes give you armor, they don't add anything to the gameplay. They're just annoying, and I kind of find them to be a little pointless. I think they mean to sort of disrupt the monotony of camping, because they take more bullets to kill, and when you're camping, sometimes they can actually get to you and hit you and take some of your armor. That's the one thing I can think of, but other than that, they don't add anything to the gameplay, and they're more of an afterthought than anything. But the one thing that all of these enemy types have in common is that none of them are new. They're basically just recycled enemy types from previous games with some minor changes added. The Megaton is the Panzer, the Plague Hounds are the Tigers from 9, and the Armored Zombies are just zombies with more health. I know reusing assets and animations saves time in development, and I know that Treyarch is actually pretty good at reusing assets, but I think they've reached a point where it's become really noticeable, to the point where you can instantly tell. And as soon as you see something in the game, you start wondering which of the previous games they took it from. And it's starting to become an issue, but I digress. So even though the enemy types on this map are not extremely problematic, they could use some changes, but other than that, they're okay. The last thing I want to talk about is the process of exfil. I don't know if this is something that is unique to this map, but I still think it's worth discussing. Starting from round 10, every 5 rounds, you get an opportunity to basically end the game and get additional rewards by completing the process of exfil, which is basically like a boss fight without a boss. Kind of like in Revelations, where you mostly fight a barrage of the same enemy types you usually fight. And if you manage to take out all the zombies and the Megatons before the timer reaches 0, you can get on the helicopter and exfil out of the map. And in return, you get some extra XP, and if you haven't unlocked everything in the game already, you get some raw Ethereum crystals. There were a lot of problems with this gameplay mechanic early on, specifically with the way the zombies spawned into the map during the process. Sometimes zombies wouldn't even spawn in, and sometimes they would spawn in but far away from where they should spawn in. And it was just not worth doing unless maybe you got lucky early on and got a ray gun or a really good weapon either out of the box or from the coffin Easter egg. After you unlock everything in the game, you stop earning raw Ethereum crystals. So when you exfil, you only get XP, and I feel like that's not really fair. I think after you stop earning crystals, the game should instead compensate by giving you even more extra XP, or maybe even extra battle pass XP. Something to incentivize you to not overlook this new gameplay mechanic that they added. Because to be honest, now it doesn't feel like risk and reward, because the reward is not worth the risk. Now it just feels unnecessary. But I do like the idea of exfil. I think with a little bit more polish, it can be something great. So overall, Die Maschine, I would say, is an average map that is more good than bad. This game's success does not entirely come from this map. As a matter of fact, you could argue that this map has done very little to contribute to the success and popularity of this game. Cold War Zombies owes its success to mostly the new fun gameplay mechanics. It's not successful because of the storyline, and it's not popular because of this map, which goes to show you how important innovation in zombies actually is. That is gonna do it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of Die Maschine as a map. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.